Prosecutors putting new pressure on Patriots owner Robert Kraft as part of a wide-ranging prostitution case. Kraft has pleaded not guilty to soliciting prostitution at a Florida spa. Back in May, you might remember, a judge ruled surveillance videos from the spa cannot be used in this case. But state lawyers are challenging that decision and suggesting that Kraft could face a felony charge as opposed to 2 misdemeanor counts. So what does all this mean for the case and for the argument over his Fourth Amendment rights? Let's bring in our legal panel and talk about it. I'm joined by Mimi Coffey, a criminal defense attorney, and David Bruno, also a criminal defense attorney, a former prosecutor and trial attorney. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
And I want to start with you, David. So prosecutors clearly turning up the heat here. And David, as a former prosecutor, I want you to walk us through what that means. The state possibly elevating these misdemeanors to a felony. It sounds like an unusual move. So how would this change how prosecutors proceed in the case?
Yeah, this actually comes as a surprise to me, because there was a suppression motion, and you talked about it in the lead here. And Kraft's attorneys got the video surveillance suppressed. In that suppression motion, prosecutors candidly said to the judge that there was no human trafficking. So when I read the Florida laws, I don't see a felony that could really be proven, because human trafficking would be the 3rd degree. There are misdemeanors that he's currently charged with. And the next question I would have, if they're threatening this, is why didn't you charge the 3rd degree in the beginning? Are you trying to punish him for using his constitutional rights to argue against suppression? So I think this is disingenuous for the prosecutor to threaten this 3rd degree when they have only charged misdemeanors to this point.
All right, Mimi, what do you do if you are in Robert Kraft's attorney's shoes? While the subject of admissibility on the video surveillance tapes still seem to be in limbo because they're fighting over it, where do you think you dig your heels in on a defense with this?
Well, the first thing that I would do is I would tell Mr. Kraft not to be making any public statements, because there is a fair probability that if the state does not win the appeal to reverse the decision for the admissibility of the videotapes, that they're not going to be able to prove the case, because that judge also suppressed the fact that he was pulled over and he was identified. They would not have even possibly have known for sure that it was Robert Kraft until they actually pulled him over and ID'd him. So the stop has been thrown out, as well as the videotape. There's been no discussion in the media about, are the employees willing to testify? So there is a chance that this case may not be able to stand on its own merits.
You know, David, when the judge ruled that police did not have this lawful, what they call a sneak and peek warrant for their surveillance of the massage parlor that Kraft reportedly visited, what do you do with the 5 days of tape that were apparently rolled on at the Orchids of Asia Day Spa, which caught who knows what on surveillance? Does all of that just go away if the warrant wasn't proper? Kraft's attorneys have argued that the video surveillance breaks from Fourth Amendment constraints agreed on by other courts. But we're talking about hours and hours of tapes here.
Sure. I mean, the judge's ruling prohibits the prosecutor's office from using it in a prosecution against the defendants. It's not as if that video will be destroyed, though. I mean, who knows where it will go, whether it'll be leaked. Maybe there will be some civil cases where that could be used still. So, yeah, those are some great questions, but the biggest impact on the court's ruling is that it can't be used in the prosecution against Kraft. And I also agree with Mimi in that, listen, if this video cannot be used by the prosecutor, I don't know how they're going to prove the case against Kraft. Are they going to try to turn the people actually giving the whatever sexual favors towards Kraft? Are those people going to actually be able to identify Robert Kraft without just the media reports? So all great issues for Kraft and the defense team. They did a great job so far.
You know, Mimi, I was looking at this case. There's also the issue of at least 4 people, men and women, who legitimately received real massages with their clothes off while cameras were rolling during all of this. You know, you go in, you think you're just getting 50 to 60 minutes of a massage. It's not real comforting if you like to get a massage now and then. So what can be done about that, and where will it go from here?
Laura, that is the exact reason why Judge Hanser granted the motion to suppress the videotapes, because he said that that's unreasonable. You've got 4 people that are walking into a business establishment for legal reasons, and as they're unrobing for a massage, they're being videotaped, and that gets to the whole point of the Fourth Amendment and the reasonableness, and here it just was not reasonable. And not only Judge Hanser, but 4 other judges in Florida have also ruled in these type cases that that's overly broad, and that's the legal basis for the suppression of the videotape. Robert Kraft's lawyers are doing a great job.
And you've got the case, and just back to the beginning of this maybe being elevated to a felony. I just want to ask you both really quick answers here to both of you. What's your biggest takeaway from where the case stands right now? Because there's still more to come. David, I'll start with you. Yeah,
the appeal will be decided. And if Kraft's attorneys are successful, I think the state's going to dismiss this. Now, this 3rd degree that they talked about was in the moving papers. It was in the brief. It wasn't actually a public statement. I don't think they'll go that route.
Mimi?
I think the judge in his case is making a legally correct move, and I think the prosecutors, first of all, they're going after a 78-year-old man who's a widow, married for 48 years, who's done tremendous things for the NFL, and I think that they are using him as publicity for their own purposes. I really don't see why, if they're not charging other citizens who allegedly go to these establishments for illegal reasons on multiple occasions, when they get charged with a misdemeanor, why are they targeting a man like Robert Kraft,
right,
who is such a philanthropist?
Right. And there are the people that are listed, but he's certainly the most high-profile one. So, Mimi Coffey, David Bruno, we want to thank you very much for your time. We'll see where it goes and check in with you later.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.